Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun. It's all right.
Good evening and welcome to the Wayne Presbyterian Church. My name is Ryan Balson. I'm one of the pastors here, and I am so glad that you've joined us for this community celebration. And I know that your presence here is a gift to Jeff and his family, so thank you for joining us this evening. Now I'd like to invite Buff Barnes to come and offer an opening prayer.
Good evening. My name's Buff Barnes, and I am a friend of Jeff's. Let's begin our time together tonight with a word of prayer. Please pray with me. Holy God, Spirit of love, we thank you for this day and all it has held for each person here. We thank you for this opportunity to gather in this place, to love and to honor Jeff, our brother, coach, mentor, and friend. Surround us now with your grace. May all we do and say and sing here tonight be filled with love. Amen.
My name is James Barnes. Thank you for being here. And thanks to Pastor Ryan and Ryan Fleming on the piano, Mike and Carol Burnham on the video and sound, Kathy Chandler and the custodians on everything around here, Christina on the bulletin, and our ushers. Once again, thank you all for being here. Thanks to Jeff for his courage, although he said it didn't take courage, I think it does, in asking for this community celebration, and for his dedication to adding light to the worlds of those around him. Whether they be fellow cancer patients, doctors, nurses, friends, players, coaches, parents, siblings, heck, all of us. Empowering others to lead is one of Jeff's many gifts, and he's done that for me, and I'm grateful. Jeff has engaged with the Wayne Presbyterian Church in a number of ways over the years. He attended our Thursday morning men's Bible study ministry back when Bob Narrigan cooked the breakfast. That's a few years ago. He worshiped here with his parents when they were in town, and he helped chaperone a Wayne Presbyterian youth mission trip to Costa Rica. Today, I invite you to participate to the fullest extent possible. Sing boldly, as if you're at Stretford End or the Cop, maybe not. And throughout, please reflect on what you have learned from Jeff. That is his legacy to you that might become a part of your legacy to others. Later in this celebration, there will be a musical meditation when you can write a note to Jeff. Please write a note to Jeff on one of the cards that are at the front here. If you didn't get one, feel free to get up and get one. There are also pens there. And when you've written a note, on your way out, put it in the basket over by the door over here. Be sure to put your name, phone number, and email on that card because we'd like to send you a video of this service to remember it, and most importantly, send it to people who could not be here. On the video, there'll be a couple of additional videos which are really going to be fun to watch. One is Jeff's brother Rick, who made a hilarious outtake video of the early days of Jeff's coaching enterprise. So you'll see that. It'll be up tonight, actually, online. Followed by a clip from Saturday's ceremony at Muhlenberg College, naming the soccer field there the Jeff Morris Class of '82 field. And that's a spectacular video as well. So be sure to fill in a card, write a note to Jeff, name, phone number, email, and then we can be sure to get the video to you.
Today I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming President Kathleen Herring to lead us in this truly momentous occasion. President Herring.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. It is simply a pleasure to stand with you today as we dedicate the field in honor of Jeff Morris, class of 1982. To the Morris family, Jeff's friends, classmates, and all of you who are with us, thank you for being here for this very special occasion. We're deeply grateful to Rob Morris, Jeff's brother, and Rob's wife, Mary Helen, for making this beautiful and meaningful gesture possible through a very generous gift of $1 million to the college. Thank you, Rob and Mary Helen, for your heartfelt and purposeful philanthropy. Through this dedication, we're not only honoring Jeff, we're reaffirming the values he lives by: passion, purpose, and a commitment to helping others grow. As a student athlete at Muhlenberg, Jeff was the goalkeeper on the Mules soccer team. In that position, he showed the signs of leadership and heart that define his life's work. After Muhlenberg, Jeff took his love for soccer global, playing in Germany, coaching across high schools, universities, and Olympic development programs, and also developing programs in several underserved countries and communities in Pennsylvania. Ultimately, he created opportunities for tens of thousands of young athletes through the World Cup Sports Academy and Central League Soccer. Jeff believes in soccer not only as one of the world's greatest sporting endeavors, but also a tool for personal growth, community building, and global connection. Jeff turned his passion into purpose and simply transformed lives. To Jeff, Rob, the entire Morris family, we're deeply grateful. Rob, your generosity honors Jeff and his contributions to sport, and also it provides Muhlenberg students with the same kind of life-shaping experiences that Jeff had here. Thank you. Now, get ready. With great pride, I invite you to turn your attention to the bleachers as we dedicate this field. Woo! Looks pretty good, Jay. And so with that, it is my pleasure to turn things over to Jeff's teammate and very good friend, Dr. Jim Petsy, class of 1982. Jim?
Thank you, President Herring. Good afternoon, everyone. It's truly an honor and a privilege to be here today for this special occasion. On behalf of the 1982 Muhlenberg soccer team, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Rob Morris, Muhlenberg College, and President Herring for making this event possible. I'm deeply honored to share the stage here with Jeff Morris, an incredible teammate and the best goalkeeper I ever had the privilege of sharing the field with. Beyond his playing days, Jeff dedicated his life to shaping and inspiring countless young athletes as a coach, a teacher, and a mentor. He is admired for his kindness, his wisdom, integrity, and of course his legendary sense of humor. Most importantly, Jeff is a dear friend to so many of us and one of the finest human beings I've ever known. This field stands as a lasting tribute to a man who taught us what it means to compete passionately, live fully, and care deeply. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. There are not words for what I've experienced here, especially you guys. You gotta pick it up a notch. All right, do you guys know Olay, 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 Olay? Keep that in mind. Thank you. Where's the party tonight? All right. I said earlier, this honor has little to do with me, and a lot to do with everybody here. And here. The whole journey I've been on for almost 40 years has been about a community, other leaders coming together and creating a soccer environment for kids to enjoy the game. You know, we don't have to go to the Olympics. We don't have to win the World Cup. We just have to have kids playing sports, boys and girls, learning respect, responsibility, and many other lessons. I will close with one wonderful story. In addition to Germany, I had the chance to play Costa Rica and Belize. It's hard to say, Belize. After my game in Belize, they said, hey, can you do a clinic for the school? Yeah, that sounds fun. So I show up the next day. I got about 12 children, and they're all pretty much barefoot. Small town in Belize. One kid has a pair of soccer boots. He says, Coach, can I just wear one shoe? Because I play right wing. And I'll give my other shoe to my left wing. And that's always stayed with me. So we played 6v6, and the one team had two players with one shoe. And why that sticks with me, we have lights, we have turf fields, we have balls, we have everything. These kids have nothing. I played in Galapagos. In the Galapagos, it was 36-year-old to 42-year-old, all ages. And I was like, wow, that's not how we do it in the U.S. It was awesome. And the ball we had in Galapagos had 45% air, 55% flat. Nobody cared but me. And they looked at me like I was an idiot, which I was. So when you play in these places, they're so talented, they love the game so much, and they have so little. So I share that because those are a couple of my highlights. But once again, I thank everybody here for this honor. I am so happy that this field is now being used for soccer, men and women, lacrosse, women, and other activities. And once again, thank you to the generosity of my brother. Thank you, Muhlenberg College staff, for everything you do. Ladies, stand up, make some noise. Go, get up.
Thank you everyone for being here today. Thank you, Jeff, the entire Morris family, and our athletics coaching staff as well. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Jeff has already left us all a legacy. This community celebration is part of it. This poem, read at Princess Diana's funeral, reminds me of Jeff. It talks of legacy. Turn Again to Life by Mary Lee Hall. If I should die and leave you here a while, be not like others sore undone, who keep long vigil by the silent dust. For my sake, turn again to life and smile, nerving thy heart and trembling hand to do something to comfort other hearts than thine. Complete these dear unfinished tasks of mine, and I perchance may therein comfort you. Please stand as you are able and sing hymn number 472, Come By Yah, which you'll find in the red hymnal in your pew.
Please be seated. We're going to read Psalm 23 responsively, which means that I'll read the words in the regular print, if you will please respond with the words that are bolded. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. I too have a poem to share. I came upon this poem and it speaks to me of the way that I have known Jeff to live his life. This poem is by Stephen Charleston and it's called Never Prayers. Never let me grow too old to lose the delight of a child's imagination. Never so disappointed in life I stop believing each morning is a new beginning. Never too concerned with my own burdens to fail to help another. Never so busy making a living that I forget what living is about. Never so certain I have all the answers that I stop asking the questions. Never having so much to say that I cannot be still and listen. Philip Adams and Michael Barnes are friends of Jeff's, whom he has coached and mentored since their U10 playing days. They are well beyond that now. These gentlemen are going to come now and share a couple of readings with us.
Good evening, everyone. Moss has been my friend and my mentor from the time I first played for one of his Radna teams more than 25 years ago, and I'm honored that Moss has asked me to read The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost and to share a few words. The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet, knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Many people love Frost's poem as a celebration of the uncommon experience of choosing one's own path, of not settling for the default or the normal. In my earliest experiences with Moss, the uncommon approach seemed to happen commonly. Taking the road less traveled seemed Moss normal. In our first season, end-of-season gathering for that Radna travel team, in front of all of our friends and our parents and our teammates, Morris had each of his young players stand up to give a short prepared talk on Aristotle's proverb, well begun is half done. I thought that was a bit odd. Similarly, the first 2 summers I worked for Morris at World Cup Soccer, he had my small cohort of junior camp counselors read a book every week and be prepared to discuss it with him. I think the first book was Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. A few years later, as I got towards the end of high school, my folks and Moss encouraged me strongly to take a gap year before heading to university. A gap year is one of the best untraveled roads. That gap year, I worked for Moss all fall as a business intern and as a coach with, where's he gone? With Michael. With Michael for the JV team. And later that year, Moss and I adventured to Costa Rica together. One particularly treasured memory that I have is a pre-dawn hike together up to the summit of Mount Chirapú and experiencing the sunrise over the high mountain lakes and being able to see clear across the country from Pacific to Caribbean. In those early years with Moss, it always seemed that Morris lived in a world that just had more roads one might take than most of us. Over time, I realized that Morris can just see more of the roads that are open to all of us. And one of Morris's gifts to his friends is helping us to see all those other roads, those possibilities in our lives for ourselves. Walking the woodland roads with Moss also means Morris connecting you with fellow travelers, people you would not otherwise have met. Through Morris, I met many other wonderful humans who, in specific moments or over the years, have shaped my thinking and myself. I'm sure the same is true for many of you. For me, these people include folk like Adam, Campbell, Michael, Jake, Julian, and more. Robert Frost wrote The Road Not Taken about his friend Edward Thomas, a man who was never quite sure which road to take and who, having finally taken one road, spent much of his time then wondering maybe if the other road would have been the better choice. A life lived like Morris's, in contrast, is one lived with your eyes open and aware of life's possibilities, but also a life lived without regrets and fully inhabiting the road that you are on. Morris, thank you for being my friend and my mentor all of these years. I look forward to continuing to teach my daughter, Abigail, to see all those roads as you have taught me. Thank you.
That was really well said. When Jeff asked me to be involved in this remarkable ceremony and celebration today, I was deeply honored. Simultaneously, though, fear and anxiety riddled my bones because I am terrified of public speaking. I have learned it helps me to acknowledge this out loud, so please forgive me this vulnerability as I do my best to lean into it. In considering what to say today, I found myself paralyzed until I had the suggestion, which I was grateful for, that I might approach the process of preparing to speak as if it were a meditation I could practice daily. And so recently I have read this beautiful poem I'm about to read to you each morning. I have sought out wild spaces and the peace they can bring, and I have wandered intentionally down memory lane in search of a deeper sense of my friendship with Jeff over the years. The process has been woven with the full spectrum of emotions, and at times my anticipated grief has been overwhelming, while the myriad memories have been like spring sunshine on my soul. So the poem is called The Peace of Wild Things, and it's by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Like so many others, I met Moss when I was a little lad on the soccer field as a member of a youth soccer team. We were the U10 Radnor Rockets. As you know, Jeff's passions run deep, and there can be no doubt he is in his element on the soccer field. My first experience of his contagious passion, his handlebar mustache, his adolescent wit, and seemingly tireless energy were central to the most amazing sense of belonging in a team I have ever had. Moss had a nickname for each of us. Cherry Cobbler was between the woodwork. Kyle Rumenega dominated the midfield, while Wheels was up front with his breakaway speed tickling the twine regularly. Through Jeff, I became Barnesy that year, like my father before me and all three of my sisters after. We had more fun than I had imagined possible and dominated our league in those early days, like Manchester United destroyed Liverpool yesterday. The magic of the Rockets and deep sense of belonging you helped us cultivate are a core memory for me, Jeff. I am truly grateful for. It is a sense of belonging that has gradually grown over time into the community united by our love for soccer and life that I feel here today. I know you have impacted so many other lives in a similar way, and am in awe of the legacy that this represents. Thank you for taking us under your wing, for believing in us and challenging us, for helping me discern and strive towards my ideal self and the wild spaces and things that bring me peace when I am overwhelmed and afraid. Thank you for being willing to search for silver linings in difficult times in our lives over recent years. I would not be who I am today without your friendship and support, and I need you to know what a tremendous blessing you are in my life. I want to end by saying one of the hardest parts of my anticipated grief that I've sat with this past week in meditation has been my feeling I am not ready to say goodbye to you, my dear friend. As luck would have it, though, through this meditation, I realized we don't have to. I don't have to say goodbye because I'll always be able to find you in my heart and my mind, where you will forever have a special place. Even better, I know I'll find you in the mountains and on the ocean as I lose myself in those wild spaces where the peace of wild things can wash over us again and again.
I'd like to welcome Bob Avalli to speak a few words. He's a Berkshire Mountain friend of Jeff's for over 50 years. Bob.
I'm honored to speak about Jeff and our group, beginning with our high school days to this day. Our core is the Pittsfield High School soccer team in the late 1970s and extends to this day through the shared values of trust, respect, gratitude, humor, and love. This is where our group formed, ultimately expanded, and grew close. We've stayed that way for 50 years. A big part of the reason we have flourished is Jeff. We all know him as a larger-than-life personality, but also the center of our group's universe. He's taken a major role in continually bringing us together. Jeff, you are a brave, free, and vigorous spirit, and exhibit that spirit in every aspect of your life. Starting in your 20s, you had the independence of thought and the courage to start and run your own tour company, emphasizing the more remote, less comfortable, but more beautiful and natural world in the mountains around the beaches. You did this out of true love for adventure, but also to gain a better understanding of different cultures you know makes you a more tolerant and understanding person. These trips included a visit to a Latin American country and your subsequent launching in a boat dressed up as Santa Claus on Christmas Day for the local village. This promoted more goodwill than any diplomat could hope for. You also showed great courage and vitality over decades of work developing and managing youth soccer camps, leagues, and corporations that others will speak of. All during this time, our group maintained and nurtured our relationships with a broad and extensive number of meetups at Cape Cod, the Keys, weddings and golf outings, on fishing expeditions, and trips to the Berkshires. What was important was that different people, especially Jeff, took the lead in organizing, and whomever could come, would come. And we also began to include our children. Some of my favorite memories of these trips are of the '94 World Cup in Boston, you dancing with the victorious Argentine fans, celebrating a come-from-behind victory in what would be Maradona's last game. And your choice of departure times from Philadelphia, arriving at the Berkshires at 3 o'clock in the morning and sleeping in Kasuba's mudroom rather than disturbing anyone. Or leaving for Florida from North Georgia and arriving again at 3 o'clock in the morning, to many of us still up in an all-night diner. And then on the trip home, arriving back in Georgia at 6 a.m. for some smooth mountain lake water skiing. Jeff, and I've heard this from everyone and seen it, is never afraid to be himself. And while this reflects his great independence, it also reflects his bravery. And I feel that if anyone can be honest with themselves, they are very likely to be honorable with everyone they touch. This is his essence. His uninhibited independence certainly showed in a trip to Key West for a night on the town, dancing with as many people as possible, including a bachelor party group all dressed in white jumpsuits as Elvis. I have dozens more of these stories, but beyond the hilarity, they all show and reflect our mutual admiration, respect, and love. And this is the glue that keeps our group together to this day. Jeff, you are brave in heart, free in thought, and fierce in spirit. From your Pittsfield comrades, we love you, brother.
I'd now like to welcome Andre Labudi, who has been both a friend and mentor of Jeff, with a desire to help all players at all levels, believing that a rising tide lifts all boats. Andre.
Jeffrey Morris, it's a gift that we can honor you tonight with you here. But I will admit, the first time that I met Jeff was a very humbling experience for me. I had recently started as a volunteer coach for my son Gabe's kindergarten soccer team. And within weeks, I had lost complete control of that group. Those chaos agents were doing whatever they wanted. And one night, I take my kids to this extra session that Jeff was running. Had 10 times as many kids on this huge field, all doing exactly what they were told. At one point, he says a couple words, I don't know, snaps his finger or something. They all pick up their ball, sprint to the center circle, and listen in attention to get their instructions, go out and do it again. I went on to coach for a few more years, and I was trying to measure my progress as I would try to repeat that. And I would try to say the same words, same tone, somehow never got the same results. But I might have figured it out a little too late. I should have invested in an all-season red vest. Naturally, I turned that lackluster coaching experience into a seat on the Radnor soccer board, where I would oversee the travel teams. And it was really a blessing because it gave me an opportunity to get to know Jeff much better, I think develop a close friendship. And most of all, it was a blessing for my children. He helped me so much as an overzealous dad to deal with just the complexities and the uber competitiveness of youth sports. But that wasn't the only way that he influenced me. I think a moment ago I just used the word naturally. I'm not sure I've ever gotten a text from Jeff that didn't have the word naturally in it. Breedbell sisters, I see you laughing, so you know what I mean. What you may not know is that Jeff and I get together periodically. We go hike the Valley Forge trails. And it always seemed that from the moment I got out of my car until I got back into it, he was always talking about your successes. He's just brimming with pride about the young ladies that you have become, and for good reason. Now, when I was on the soccer board, I was just a huge, huge advocate of Jeff Morris and his staff. And it was because he truly understood the totality of the responsibility that he had for our community. Yes, develop soccer skills, and yes, develop competitive teams that would win a few games. But he truly understood that he and his staff were there to be role models, and were there to help our community develop our kids' character. Character. If there's one word that I would use to describe Jeff Morris, it's character.
And it's not just because of his personal conduct, which is always exemplary. It's because character is seemingly this lens through which he views the world around him. And he demands strong character from those of us around him. From time to time, I would come across a very strong soccer player that was interested in coaching, and I'd pass him on to Jeff. And he would welcome some into his team, but some he would pass on. And then I'd ask why, and it always came down to character. Soccer, of course, important, character non-negotiable. That's why, as a fiduciary to the club, I always slept very well at night, knowing that regardless of coach, our kids were in good hands. As we come together at events like this, we usually think about the impact that a person has had throughout their life. I think those before me spoke about that. The packed house here does as well. I was just talking to my younger son a couple of weeks back. He's off at college. And I was urging him to send Coach Morris a text. And as I was explaining that it needed to be timely, he started sobbing. And he kept on sobbing and had to excuse himself from the call. I always knew that as the kids grew up and matured, they would look back and just be extremely thankful to Jeff. But even I underappreciated just how much, the intensity of my son's reaction was so strong that it surprised me a bit. It shouldn't have surprised me because he's had a similar impact on me. So many character traits that I wish I could emulate better. From being able to spark a conversation with a complete stranger, and more importantly, just savor that interaction. His ability to improvise is like nobody else I've ever met. And when there's a friend in need, he's always the first one to extend a helping hand. But the trait that's always been the one that I've admired the most is he has this unwavering positive mindset. It's just remarkable. I'm almost done. He has this expression he uses, turning lemons into lemonade. And I've watched them live it as he's faced business or personal struggles, and he's sort of thought through, how am I going to turn this around into something very positive? Even today, I was just with him a couple of weeks ago. Life has handed him some bitter lemons, and he's hard at work trying to turn it into lemonade for the rest of us. It's been an inspiration to me as I've thought about challenges I've faced. What would Jeff do? And in the days leading up to tonight, as I've thought about what I would share with you, for a moment I thought, well, what would Jeff say? And the words came to me right away. It was 2 words. Just 2 words, but it's a struggle to get them out. Play on.
Beautifully said, Andre. Thank you so much. And in the interest of playing on, we're going to play on with Rick Morris, the brother of Jeff, who's semi-retired, corporate video production These are Jeff's words. Meanwhile, Rick continues his endeavor in the independent film industry. His most recent production of Jeff's Youth has received high praise from many, apparently.
It wasn't until I got up here that I saw what a packed house it is. Thank you. Jeff mentioned to me a moment ago, he reminded me this is a celebration, so I'd like to ask a few people. Stu Keener, Julian Sir, Fabio, Chris Miller to please come forward, and ask the rest of you to please rise.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Morris Tabernacle Choir. Michael Barnes referenced Jeff's juvenile sense of humor, something like that. I guess in my case, I saw it evolve early. In 1965, my parents dropped off 4-year-old Jeff Morris in my room, and he became my roommate for the next 8 years. This experiment in bonding went to its first great test about a year later when my older brother, Rob, who is here to offer a rebuttal later on, was asked to babysit, and he wanted to watch Lost in Space in the main television room. I coerced Jeff into joining me, and we took the portable television, which was a 40-pound behemoth for a 9-year-old kid to carry up to the bathroom on the second floor, and we decided to watch Green Acres in private. But I stood at the top of stairs taunting my older brother, saying, "Rob, we're going to watch Green Acres in the bathroom and you can't stop us because the door locks." Well, Jeff was on board and enjoyed seeing Eb climb to the top of the telephone pole, but then he realized, as Rob was screaming from the outside the door, that he was going to get us and take away our television privileges for a month, a power he didn't actually have. And Jeff started screaming, "I'm trying to get to the door, Rob. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to get to the door." Well, I was holding him down with my powerful 10-year-old frame in the bathtub saying, No, you're in this just as deep as I am, Jeff. You're not getting off like that." But Jeff was working for a plea deal early, and the next thing I know, the bathroom door popped open and the jig was up. Rob had been working nights as a locksmith, and we paid the price. It was early on in Jeff's career that I learned as his roommate that he had a secret passion for soccer. It was not uncommon that at 2 in the morning I'd be sound asleep and suddenly I'd hear, "Keeper!" And then an 80-pound body would land on top of me. Jeff had made a great save, but then he looked around in the darkness, realized he had been dreaming, and he would say, "Play on." I watched Jeff become the youngest person in the state to pass the New York State Young Boatman Safety Course and become credentialed to drive a boat. I watched him build a cabin that would have made Henry David Thoreau proud in the mountains in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I watched him become a ski instructor, travel the world to more countries than I could name, and, as most of you probably suspected, the class of 1978 in Pittsfield High School named him the best dancer. The Morris boys were trained in athletics under the mentorship of Bob Morris, where the emphasis was always on sportsmanship. The life lessons became the core of what Jeff passed on to thousands of children, young men and women, as they grew up. And he helped to shape the lives of these people by maintaining focus on sportsmanship, not just winning. As his business successes increased over the years, he had the opportunity to sit back in his office and enjoy the fruits of his labor by not having to work too hard. But no, instead of passing it on to other people, he was always on the pitch, coaching and mentoring the young people and shaping their lives. Over the last few weeks, many accolades have come in from parents and people that he's mentored, and I'd like to share just one from a young man he coached early on. I remember my first day at World Cup soccer camp. Mom had dropped me off. I was pissed. And I knew the week would suck. Jeff found me a role, World Cup junior trainer, that got me engaged. This small gesture started my journey as an athlete and is an essential component of who I am today. I'm someone who learned from you how to bring enthusiasm and create fun in everything I do. Thank you for always bringing your all. What a great way to live. As Ernie Banks said, the measure of a man is in the lives he's touched. And Jeff has touched a great many in his life. Jeff, I love you. Thank you for all the joy and passion you've brought into our lives. And in the words of Andres, play on.
We'll now have a musical meditation at a time for you to write a note to Jeff on the card that you got when you came in, with the pen that you got when you came in. If you didn't, Buff and I are just going to walk around. Yeah, by all means, get up and get one at the front here, or we'll also pass them out. So, musical meditation. Thank you, Ryan. Beautiful. And those cards will go in. There's a basket at this door, and there's also a basket at the back when you go out. I'd like to welcome Chuck Berniker up to speak. He's a Radnor Soccer Club friend of Jeff's who always cared about every child. Chuck.
Well, just for the record, Andres, when you said character, Jeff, I thought that could have gone a couple different ways. I'm glad you kept it the way you did, though. Wow. So 23 years ago, our son Brendan, the oldest of four boys, had his first soccer clinic with World Cup Soccer in Garrett Hill, and thus the introduction to Coach Morris. We had no idea what we were getting into, but I mean that in the most positive ways. A year or two later, we were signing Brendan up for soccer, for youth soccer, and I think there was a box to check to volunteer coach. I actually don't remember checking it. I think Marty might have done it for me, but what a journey. 4 boys, 12 years, 20 plus seasons, outdoor, indoor, futsal, summer camps. I wouldn't trade a minute of it. Community-based sports at its finest. So let me go back to the early days. I remember watching the first tryout. 50 plus boys going through warm-ups, drills, and ultimately scrimmaging. Coach Morris and his staff moving kids around to different fields, ultimately matching talent levels, splitting up the various teams, A, B, C, etc. And at the end of the tryout, Jeff pulled the entire group together and talked through the day, reviewed the practice, but then the real magic, the post-practice, post-game speech. Everybody remembers the speeches, filled with humor, wisdom, storytelling, sheer enthusiasm. Coach Morris would say things like, make sure you thank your parents for bringing you here today. Remember to say please, remember to say thank you. Try opening the door for the person at the store. And then the next week, we'd follow up and ask, who did? This is just a small sampling, but it was sincere, it was consistent, it was classic Jeff. His brand at World Cup is building character through sports, and boy, has he delivered. Through these post-game speeches, win, lose, or draw, Jeff was teaching our children to be thankful, respectful, accountable, compassionate, resilient, and simply kind. And to remember it was only a game. For me, it's funny now. Literally hundreds of games later, I don't remember who won most of the games or tournaments, but I do remember the speeches, the encouragement, and the life lessons. The beauty of this was that all the players had a unique relationship with Coach Morris. And in turn, he had a unique relationship with each of them. It had nothing to do with the team you're on or the skill level you had. Yesterday, I asked my boys, what would you say to Coach Morris this evening? And I got messages back with very consistent themes. But rather than summarize them, I want to read excerpts from them verbatim. The first one was a text I got from my oldest son, it was a text that he sent to Coach Morris in 2023. Hi, Jeff. I just had dinner with my girlfriend at Paula's and Wayne, and Mike was there, who was also here tonight. Hi, Mike. Which prompted me to tell my girlfriend all about World Cup soccer and your approach to coaching. I told her that you were always primarily interested in helping us become better people rather than just better players, and that you wanted us to love the game rather than feel like it was a job or a path to college. Consequently, almost 20 years after I started my first camp with you, and 10 years after my last Santos game, I still love playing soccer. I played on my law school's team for fun, to meet people, and just stay in shape. Long after many of my friends who played more competitively than I did have hung up their cleats, but I still play and I love it. I also know that I'm a better person for the lessons you taught me and the confidence you placed in me, especially when you let me coach after I got cut in high school. Jeff, we will never forget that. I've never properly thanked you either for your support and mentorship or for the gift of soccer, but I want to do so now. You were a huge influence on me, and I am very grateful for you. All the best, Brendan, parentheses, Bernie Sr. Oh, and by the way, that girlfriend is now his wife. Our second son wrote, Alex, he wrote, I always just think back to the summer camps and his ability to blend competition and fun. Everyone who did the camp never wanted to miss a day because you really felt like you were getting better, having fun, and getting ready for the fall season with your teammates. And his imagination and storytelling, and the originator of the Bernie nickname that has stuck with all of us even now. And I really feel like he cared about all his players. It didn't matter what team you're on or skill level, etc. He found a place for everyone in his programs and camps, and he did his best to make sure it was an enjoyable experience for everyone. Our third son, Ryan, who was a team manager for Jeff, sent me a text and said but Ryan ultimately played football in middle school and high school, so a non-soccer player. He said, I think important now about Coach Morris is just how he brings enthusiasm and fun to everything. And our youngest son, Charlie, said, it was never about ability. He treated us, all the kids, the same, and he saw potential in all of us. He also made you see it on and off the field. They aren't my words, Jeff. They're the boys. There's a cliche that it takes a village. And on behalf of the thousands of boys and girls, players and campers, and the entire Radnor soccer community, I want to say how thankful we are that you are part of our community, our village. And Jeff, on behalf of Marty, Brendan, Alex, Ryan, and Charlie, otherwise known as Bernie 1, 2, 3, 4, or even an occasional Bernard, I want to say thank you. Thank you for helping us raise our boys, and most importantly, thank you for being a friend. And until we meet again, sorry, Rick, play on.
Thanks, Chuck. Well said. It's my privilege to invite Adam Correa up. He has been a long-time leader at World Cup Sports Academy and is now making a difference on a global level. He may not agree with me, but it's true.
I didn't get to say hi earlier. Well, now for the airing of grievances. I'll be honest, I didn't know what to make of Jeff at the beginning. Jeff likes to say, "It took you a little time to warm up to me," and I'd say that's probably accurate. Our first encounter was during Haverford College preseason, 1999. Jeff had joined the men's soccer coaching staff, and I was entering my senior season. My memory of Jeff that year is that he was always buzzing with ideas. Our head coach, Joe Amram, by contrast, was a little bit more laid back. He tried to keep him contained to the goalkeepers. But Jeff was eager to do more. He offered players extra training before practice. He came up with activities for players who weren't participating in a drill, and to Joe's dismay, often volunteered to jump in as an extra player, though I don't recall that offer was ever successful. A firm memory from that season took place following the final game of the year. We had just defeated Swarthmore, and we were celebrating, as was customary, in the HCA basement. When in burst Jeff, with fresh pizza. How did he even know about this event? Probably the answer was Jesse Stolick. Should he even have been there as a coach? Probably not. But his timing was perfect. We were hungry. He joined the party for a while, drank some water, and left. Looking back, I think I was probably too self-absorbed in my senior year to fully appreciate Jeff. I kept him at arm's length, and Jeff respected that. So maybe it wasn't surprising when later that year, Jeff invited some other Haverford players to join the coaching staff at his annual summer camps, even though I was available and living on campus. But fate had other plans. It was during that summer, that we started to connect more frequently. Euro 2000 was in full swing. Jeff brought over his television from his condo in Ardmore to our house to watch a few games. We stayed in touch, and when he learned that I was remaining local to teach, he set me up with my first coaching jobs at the Haverford School and with the U14 Radnor Soccer Club team. I must have passed some sort of test because after that, working with him really picked up steam. Some K1-2 clinics, winter games at Rocket Sports, summer camps in TE and Radnor, and of course, more travel teams. This launched a journey that has lasted 25 years. Over that time, Jeff and I have been business partners, teammates, co-coaches, housemates. But most importantly, we've forged a friendship that is built on mutual respect, affection, and a shared passion for teaching and learning. Even as my life has taken me various places, Jeff has been a constant. As a friend and a mentor, I am not who I am today without Jeff Morris, and without question, the person I am today is better off for having him in my life. Now, after 25 years of shared experience, I've collected a few lessons worth sharing. If you don't have a notepad, find a napkin. Jeff embraces the napkin or placemat as a viable medium for collecting ideas. Our late-night pub discussions often ended up with lineups or business strategy scrawled on cocktail napkins, which you would then file away at home. Always walk backwards when laying cones. One of the first lessons of the Jeff Morris Coaching School, it helps you maintain a straight line. Lizano makes everything taste better. One byproduct of his many trips to the Osa Peninsula and the Corcovado National Park is a love of Costa Rica's national treasure, Lizano, which he lavishes on toast, eggs, rice, bread, beans. You can't compete with the garbage truck. Last week, I have 5.5-year-old son, I was at his soccer practice, and I watched the coaches struggle to keep a group of kids focused when a murder of crows landed right behind them, and they were struggling and trying to continue with the lesson. And I immediately thought of Jeff. He would have handled this differently. When he ran our program for 3 to 5-year-olds, World Cup Juniors, and the garbage truck came by, he'd stop the activity so that the kids could turn and wave. This simple practice is about meeting kids where they are. Jeff, by doing that, validates their moment of curiosity and prioritizes connection over control. Find time to be joyful. If you haven't seen Jeff dance, there's been a few mentions of that tonight. I hope you are able to later tonight. For the 1994 World Cup final, Jeff found a Brazilian bar in Philly to watch Brazil beat Italy on penalties. He ended up dancing on the roof of a local news van and was interviewed on live TV. That joy, that ability to completely throw himself into a moment is a lesson for all of us. A leader is also a servant. If one thing defines Jeff's leadership, it is his commitment to serving and supporting his team. From the moment we started working together, I observed his focus on creating space for people to succeed. He ensured staff had everything they needed, and no task for him was too small. He filled water jugs, set up fields, moved goals. He defined expectations, but he also empowered his staff through mentorship and trust. This model of servant leadership, where the leader is the foundation of support, has shaped how I lead my own teams today, both coaching and in the business world. Put the customer first. When he owned Pepper's Cafe, if a customer showed up 5 minutes before close and cleanup had already begun, the grill went back on. Likewise, if a family asked to prorate a partial week of camp, the answer was always yes. His logic is simple. Say no, you may lose a customer. Say yes, you'll probably earn one for life. And by the way, woe unto any organization that falls afoul of this principle. Jeff once boycotted Pepper's new ownership for at least a year, maybe 2 or 3, because they told him the kitchen was closed before the final bell. It's about the people along the way. Ask Jeff about any of his travel experiences, and he will tell you first about the people he met. The retired Royal Air Force pilot, Costa Rica, I think, the bread lady in Mexico, the tica he met on the beach. But this also comes through in the communities that he develops around him, wherever he's lived and worked. Burr and Mertz, and the Mertzes from the Mount. His neighbor Yannick from the apartment in Ardmore, the families of current and former players, I really could go on. It's a reminder to me that fulfillment in life comes more from the journey than the destination. These lessons, big and small, are classic Jeff, practical, joyful, and grounded in connection. Jeff and I have also experienced some unforgettable moments together. In 2003, Barcelona and Manchester United played a preseason game in Philly, and they trained at the NovaCare Center. Jeff worked his connections so WCUPSA staff and players could help with training and serve as ball kids. In addition to providing support, we played a game on the training pitch, taught Mark Overmars to throw a football, and took pictures with Ronaldinho in his skivvies. Jeff was also able to meet 2 of his idols, Sir Alex Ferguson and Sir Bobby Charlton. The next summer, when Chelsea and AC Milan came to town, the Champions World organizers chose not to involve local groups, but that did not stop Jeff. He somehow discovered Chelsea's training schedule, persuaded Campbell and me to head down to the NovaCare Center in his Bronco 2. When we arrived, the security guard was helpless and was quickly convinced that we were supposed to be there. We ended up observing an entire session, including watching in awe as John Terry successfully juggled the bubble gum that he was chewing. This was Jeff at his finest, confident, persuasive, and absolutely determined to make something happen if he thinks it's worthwhile. One of my favorite memories with Jeff was when he decided that W Cups' 2 employees, 2 of us, needed a boondoggle. It's possible that Jeff wanted an excuse for a vacation. I think more accurately, he recognized the value of visioning and brainstorming in a neutral location, close to a beach if possible, without additional work distractions. So we took a trip to the Yucatan and camped on the beaches of Tulum, using a picnic table as a work area. When we visited Mayan ruins, we swam in cenotes and ended up in a small fishing village at a hotel run by an expat named Mike. Jeff, of course, brought W Cups of t-shirts and soccer balls to hand out and ran an impromptu clinic for local kids. Jeff's superpower is his ability to connect with people. A few years ago, he met a family on a beach in Key West who was celebrating their late father, and he joined in and somehow came away with a verbal agreement to rent the father's property at a discount. On his travels abroad, he uses this superpower to join local soccer games. Famously, he warmed up so ferociously on the touchline of a cup game in Panama that one of the teams invited him to play. And of course, this superpower helped him forge lasting friendships with all of us here today. I want to speak to Jeff directly now. It's been one of my life's great privileges to learn from you as a coach, a leader, and a human being. And it's one of my life's greatest treasures to call you my friend. One of the lasting gifts you have given me is that you have always seen a better version of me than I see in myself. Even early on, you put me in situations I did not think I was ready for, but you knew I could handle them. That sort of unwavering belief is empowering. You believed in me as a coach, as a business partner, and as a person, and that belief has shaped who I am. The confidence I have today is built in large part on the trust and expectations that you gave me. And I hope I can give my 5-year-old son that same sense of belief so he can internalize my confidence in him and see his own potential. Now, you and I have called each other brother for years, but that means something very real to me. You've been my friend and my mentor. You've challenged me. You've been my biggest supporter in every way that matters. You are my brother and always will be. I am so grateful for your friendship and mentorship. I love you.
Thanks, Adam. Now Julie Breedvelt and Isabel Breedvelt are going to come up with Jeff. Julie, Isabel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julie Breedveld. This is Isabel. Hello. I'm here to speak on behalf of Jeff and also provide my own personal statements about Jeff, as he has been in our lives since I was 4 years old. Due to his speaking limitations, he asked me to make a few simple announcements for all of you. Following tonight's service, there will be an after party at 118 North, and you are all invited. There will be finger food provided. You're on your own for drinks. Please remember to tip the staff as well. If we have an overflow of people at 118 North, Great American Pub is venue number 2. As a reminder, put any notes that you may have written to Jeff in one of the 2 baskets as you exit tonight's service. Now I would like to share a few core memories with Jeff. Some of my core childhood memories with Jeff are from skiing together in Vermont. As everyone here probably knows, Jeff is an incredibly impressive skier. And as my family here definitely knows, I am not. My favorite parts of ski trips were always the raffle prizes at ski camp, and of course, sitting in the lodge with a big cup of hot chocolate. When I was in 3rd grade, Jeff and I were skiing together. Well, he was skiing, and I was slowly making my way down the slope. A group of men came flying down, goofing off, and one of them nearly crashed into me, spraying snow everywhere as he tried to dodge me. Jeff immediately started yelling at the guy, and before I knew it, they were both stopped halfway down the mountain, shouting at each other and looking ready to fight. When we finally reached the bottom, the argument continued, and Jeff yelled, "You almost ran over a kindergartner." I, of course, decided it was the perfect moment to correct him and say, I'm actually in 3rd grade. Apparently, in 3rd grade, I hadn't quite learned the concept of time and place yet. Jeff has taught and supported me in countless ways. Through my time in life working at his camps, I developed important life and professional skills such as self-advocacy, accountability, empathy, leadership, and reliability. He constantly encouraged me to step outside my comfort zone in order to grow and improve. Jeff even taught me how to drive a stick shift. Though for everyone's safety, it's probably best to steer clear if you ever see me behind the wheel of one. From a young age, Jeff has supported my sisters and me through unwavering generosity. I'm deeply grateful for his constant encouragement, guidance, and the many opportunities he's made possible for us. Jeff, one of the things I admire most about you is the incredible impact you've had on so many people in our community. You truly can't go anywhere without someone calling out, "Coach Morris," and then watching you catch up with them for the next 20 minutes. It's such a testament to how deeply you care for everyone you've ever worked with. Looking around this room, it's clear how many lives you've touched. Each person here is proof of the love, kindness, and dedication you've shared over the years. I hope you can feel just how special you are to this community. You are so loved, and we are all so lucky to have you in our lives. And now I'll pass things off to my sister, the much better skier of the family. Unfortunately, Jeff, I have to admit, I'm still doing the pizza pie down the slope. Some things never change.
Now I have to stand alone. So Jeff also asked me to share a few words with everyone, and he just wanted to express his sincere gratitude for all of you. The real celebration this evening is all of you who have played such a significant role in Jeff's endeavors over the past many years. Your contributions on and off the field are the essence of community. Additionally, to Jeff's friends from the Berkshire Mountains, Muhlenberg College, and others, he thanks you sincerely for everything that you have imparted to him throughout this journey together. To all, Jeff is truly grateful for everyone of you and your incredible support over the past many decades. In a word, thank you. And now I'd like to segue and also briefly say a few words about my own personal experience with Jeff. Jeff has been a part of our lives pretty much since we moved to the United States when I was 5. I still remember when he showed up to our house for the very first time. Needless to say, we have made countless memories throughout the years, so I won't subject you to recounting each and every one, but just speak to a couple of my favorites. Starting off strong, of course, as many others have echoed already tonight, he helped me discover my love for soccer. It is safe to say that I never would have progressed the way I did as a player if not for Jeff. A good coach is invaluable, and Jeff is most definitely one of a kind. From making me practice with his 4th grade boys soccer team, which of course I hated in the moment, but now I have such fond memories of, to sending me pre- and post-game advice and feedback, I have always looked forward to these bits of soccer wisdom that he shared with me. From the D team to the A team, Jeff stuck with me and constantly believed in my potential. Outside of the soccer field, or pitch, I should say, some of my favorite memories include trips that we took together as a family. Every year we take a ski trip to Vermont and stay at the same inn and load up on pumpkin pancakes before we would head out and ski for the whole day. Funny enough, I thought these pumpkin pancakes were one of Jeff's special recipes. However, I didn't realize until I started grocery shopping on my own that he just stocked up on the pre-made pumpkin pancake mix from Trader Joe's every season. Very good, though, nevertheless. From hiking in the Adirondacks to tasting my first lobster and clam chowder in Maine, and going to the Thanksgiving buffet in Ocracoke, Jeff's sense of adventure is one of the things I enjoy most about him. There was always a new experience for us to try and new things to learn, even if it meant going outside our comfort zone. Of course, I couldn't speak about Jeff without mentioning his sense of humor. Even in times where I felt frustrated or defeated, Jeff would make me feel better by cracking a joke or sharing a funny story with me. In conclusion, I speak not only for myself, but for my 2 sisters as well, in saying that Jeff has always inspired us to chase lofty goals and truly be the best version of ourselves.
I am forever grateful to Jeff for the constant support, guidance, and life advice, not to mention the ample opportunities he has created for us. I am so lucky to have experienced these years with Jeff and will cherish these memories forever.
Thank you.
Wow. My voice is very limited, so I'll do something. First of all, thank you to Andres, Colonel Bob. I'll miss somebody. Rick, Adam, Michael, and Bardsey. Every word stay with me. You guys have been in my life for a long time, and I just thank you all very, very much. You're so special. And I sat in bed last night and wrote down some words, and I chose not to use them. I was writing some little anecdotes and this and that. And when I realized the bigger message, everyone's thanking Jeff, thanking Jeff, thanking Jeff. Baloney. It's all of you. It's every one of you. It's an assistant coach at Radnor who was lackluster on a good day. It's an assistant coach at TE who drove faster than me, so he got the tickets and I got there. And every one of these special people, and I miss Chuck Berlicker, by the way. He was one of those special people. They got it. It was about all the kids. It wasn't the 12 kids on the A team. It was the 48 kids who were playing. And trust me, over time, in athletics, that changes. It changes based on effort, it changes based on puberty, and it changes based on the brain. And I've seen kids, there's a guy here right now, Jake Solderidge. When he was U9, he was awful. He went on to be a 3-year high school starter, and no one on the team knew why he was starting, except for the coach, because he did everything simple. He went on to be a 4-year starter in college and an All-American. Since I'm talking about Jake, he's magic. He runs the business side of my company right now, the emails, the money, the communication, oversees the partnerships, and I tell him he makes a mistake once a year, and that's okay. He's having a tough year. He's in about 2 or 3. But my point is, when that kid was under 9, he was getting sent on the field way over there that everyone's going to ignore, and that's not how it works. Secondly, I want to add, there's all this talk about soccer. I've always enjoyed when I go to a party, a social event, a team gathering, and people talk to me about something other than soccer. Hey, welcome to my house. What do you think of my son's left foot? I said, well, it's about as bad as his right foot. So when I go to a party and someone says, hey, where are you thinking about traveling? Where can we do some outreach? James Barnes mentioned my trip to the Dominican Republic. I got pulled into that because a social event, Dominican Republic. Next thing you know, I'm in the DR, and we're building a church. And I also was in charge of a sporting event where I was the basketball referee with Dominicans in the U.S., and it was just wonderful. Those are the conversations that are most valuable that should come out of this youth sports experience. The kids will play. The kids will get better. Ultimately, the kids will go to school based on merit, not based on their right foot. And along the way, so many of you, I could just right now walk through the room and give 75 stories of the guy I went to Costa Rica with. He never left the country before. Within 6 hours, he's driving a car through a bunch of oxen. I said, go right, go left, go right, we're through. All right? And that's the guy I coached soccer with. You know, I coached soccer with him, but we made a friendship, going to Costa Rica and driving through a wild group of oxen. And then it just kept built from there. And I'm just looking around the room. I see guys from college. Oh my God, the stories from college are, you know, I can't even tell them. I'll hit one more group, which is my friends from Berkshire County, Massachusetts. And Colonel Bob spoke. You know, and I think our whole group respects Bob as our spokesperson. And I see the heads all going up and down. You know, Colonel Bob, West Point, military, retired, et cetera, salt of the earth. And I just want to say to all you Massachusetts boys, what we did, you know, at junior high and high school and beyond, you know, we built a foundation, and it was all the right things. So I'm so happy we were able to get here. Last thing I want to share, there's people here from Louisiana, Minnesota, both the Carolinas, Massachusetts, Maine, Connecticut, obviously, you know, the main line, left and right, from, you know, Westchester, you know, all the way to Narberth, and every community. And I just can't thank you. But what really got me, I'm out there saying hello to everybody, and a young lady walks to the door, who I met in the Dominican Republic. She flew in today for this from Bologna, Italy. So she's, after graduating from Dickinson, has been living in Bologna, and we've kept in touch, we've been friends, and she heard about tonight, and next thing you know, she's sitting here. And some of the people I see sitting here just absolutely shocked me in a good way. So again, in summary, Isabel said it, you know, gratitude. The gratitude is not for Jeff Morris. The gratitude is not for my funny story to a bunch of 10-year-olds. The gratitude is for how every one of you, and I can just look around the room, from the Radnor Rockets, you know, to Real Average, to Haverford College, to the Berkshires, and TE Soccer back there with that gentleman, okay? And I could keep going, Muhlenberg College, and all of the Radnor Soccer, and Episcopal Academy, which is where I'm spending a lot of time now. It's what you guys do that matters. I'm just a spoke on the wheel. You guys are the wheel. I know time is short, and I know my older brother is coming up, so I'm going to defer to him, and I will say, I want to say one or two words about him. Rob has been a role model to me ever since I broke out of the bathroom. I fessed up, I pointed to Rick, and I was off the hook. But all kidding aside, can I just introduce him? You know, from a young age, when he played sports, I wanted to be the bat boy. He's my older brother. When he traveled to Europe to write a book, I said, I'm going to travel. I'm going to travel. I'm going to do what he did in a different way, but I'm going to travel. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, I lived up to it and still hope to. And then he opened a business, and well, he did a lot, but he opened a business in 1988, and he founded a private equity company in Connecticut in 88, and here we are 40 years later, and his company, CEO, chairman, incredibly successful, and I've watched him every step of the way, how incredible it was, and that was not his best trait. His best trait was being a husband to his loving wife, and being a dad to his sweet children. And he and I once in a while butt heads, not just the bathroom, other times. And whenever I shared that with other people, I said, you know what? He is an amazing father. He is an amazing husband. And despite all of the other successes, and despite the fact he disagrees with me about something, he's usually right. To watch him as a dad, to watch him as a father, was and is his biggest success. So I'm sure when he speaks, I'll be glued to every word. And regarding my health, I'm going to keep fighting. You know, they've told me I'm in a tough place, and they know what they're talking about. But I'm going to keep fighting and, see what things I could do to be here longer. And I just finished 3 weeks of radiation, and I stopped it before this, so I have enough strength to be here. So I'm going to keep fighting, and I'm so happy to see every one of you. And there are not words for how I feel about you being here, and that's why I say it's all about you people. I'll pass the baton to Rob. Thank you, and I'll be at the bar later. Thank you very much.
Beautiful job, Julie, Isabel, Jeff, Rob. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm Jeff's oldest brother, as he mentioned, and I guess that calls for a couple of corrections based on some of the information that's been given out this evening. First of all, I met Jeff because he coaches me in the U71 League. And the dispute was not Green Acres versus Lost in Space. I was trying to see the first episode of the Flintstones featuring Bam Bam. Now, it's great to be here in a Presbyterian church tonight. Many of you probably know that Presbyterian Church was started in Scotland, and it reminds me of an experience that I had years ago when I got out of college. I was hoping to be an attorney, and I was going to take off on a backpack journey, and friends told me, if you're interested in studying the law, you should go to Scotland, which is the home of the law, and watch a few trials and see what that's like, so I chose to do so. So one day I found myself in Edinburgh in the back of the royal court, and I was watching very closely what was taking place, and I noticed in the jury box there was one gentleman who was becoming quite fitful and clearly was uncomfortable being there. And finally, after a few minutes of testimony, he raises his hand, and he says to the judge, he says, Your Honor, I need to be excused from the trial. And the judge is quite surprised by this to come out of the jury box after they'd vetted all these people. He said, well, kind sir, would you please tell me why it is you need to leave the trial? He says, well, Your Honor, and he's mopping his head like this, yes, my wife is about to conceive our child. At which point the judge was even more shocked. To which he said, well, sir, I believe what you mean to say is she's about to deliver. But whether you're right or I'm right, you should be probably present for either occasion. So with that in mind, the Morris family is very, very happy that you're present for this occasion this evening. Now, Jeff was born at a very young age. In fact, he's 3 weeks older today than he actually should be. The early arrival was so surprising that our father missed his late August birth as he was flying back to Syracuse from a business trip for the expected mid-September delivery. Jeff has continued to be in a hurry his entire life. Early on, our grandmother, who had the vocabulary of the 1930s, said that Jeff was full of antsy-pantsy gusto. You'll have to look that up on the internet because I'm unable to define exactly what that means, but Jeff could possibly explain it later. His sales and entrepreneurial instincts were evident early in life. As kids, we all attended the overnight camp hosted by the Syracuse YMCA. The tuition for that camp was $200, And our parents told us in order to attend, we each had to earn $100 towards the tuition. One way to do that, the YMCA created a program where you could sell boxes of Thin Mints door to door for $1, and 50 cents of each dollar would be credited towards your tuition. So for a couple of years before Jeff was old enough to attend the camp at 8, Rick and I would go around the neighborhoods in snowy Syracuse toting these ridiculous cans of boxes of chocolate mints and selling these door to door. Jeff observed this from afar and really didn't feel that this was a particularly good way to go about the process. So Jeff, in early February, asked my parents to instead not have him go down the streets of the houses that were each, quarter-acre lots or whatever they were and walk door to door. He felt that it would be more efficient if they dropped him off at the near Springfield Garden Apartments, which was largely populated by nice old women. In addition to walking out in this Syracuse cold storm with no gloves, no hat, he also shredded the knees on his jeans so he looked like a Dickens character. Now, this is before shredding the knees was a popular fashion thing, and Jeff was well ahead of us at that point. Within less than 25 minutes, Jeff had earned his entire tuition. Meanwhile, Rick and I trudged on. A few years later, Jeff decided to refine his marketing program, and at that point in time, I had become a swim teacher and a lifeguard at the downtown Syracuse YMCA. Jeff came with me to work, and the YMCA was divided that downstairs there was what was called the youth division, and I thought when Jeff and I walked in there, his plan was to take his boxes of mints and sell them to the other kids who happened to have pocket change. I went off to my job near the pool to teach the side stroke and was in the pool area doing my job. But it turns out that Jeff had a different plan. He recognized the density of customers was very important to getting more volume. So he went up several stairs to the adult area of the Y. And the adult area of the Y served effectively as a hotel lobby for the very inexpensive rooms that they gave to men who otherwise would be homeless. So Jeff took his boxes and went up there, unbeknownst to me, as I stayed by the pool. Then all of a sudden, as I'm by the pool, the in-house telephone rang. It was the clerk from the front desk lobby who was a friend of mine. He asked if my brother was selling mints in the building. I said, I guess he was. He said, did Jeff know that many of the residents of the building had an above-average interest in little boys? I said, no, he didn't. He said, well, Jeff's completely sold out the mints now, and he's surrounded by several of these men. At that point, I was running up the halls in my Speedo, just to give you a sense of what I used to look like, and my sneakers through the YMCA halls to rescue my little brother, the marketer. As time passed, Jeff's affection for all things outdoors, particularly skiing, soccer, and beaches, became apparent. His tendency to gaze at the outdoors during school rarely earned him points with the teachers, but it was obvious he knew where he was headed. In 1973, our parents drove to where I was in college from Syracuse to have dinner with me. At dinner, they passed me a glossy brochure that looked like an annual report saying, "Welcome to the Berkshires." I didn't really know what that meant. Later, I learned my family was going to move away while I was at college to the Berkshires, to Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And Pittsfield is where Jeff arrived at age 10 and where his life's interest grew. He and our dad built a soccer goal in the backyard where he could practice being a keeper. Now in church, we had learned and had been taught to be our brother's keeper. But now that he was one, I had nothing left to do. Many soccer games were staged in that backyard on Glory Drive. When soccer faded in late autumn, Jeff headed to the ski slopes where he became an expert skier, a ski instructor, and a ski racer. To the great distress of my parents, he also began ski jumping. From a 40-meter jump, he once flew 88 feet in the air. My father said that other than when receiving Jeff's report card, watching Jeff ski jump was the scariest moment of his life. Jeff's lifelong love of skiing led to one of his first entrepreneurial efforts where he formed More Than a Tour, which organized the holiday ski trips that many of the other speakers referred to today, from Philadelphia area to Vermont. Perhaps his most memorable ski event was when he was at Buskay Mountain in Massachusetts, and for Easter they dressed him up in a full pink rabbit suit, much like the Philly Fanatic, where he spent the day entertaining the children on the ski slopes. And that will be available, I think, on the video that Rick has put together if you can see it later or however it's being transmitted. In 1978, our grandmother in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, suffered a few heart attacks and came to live with our family in her weakened state. Although at that point I had moved to Holland, Michigan, I got regular reports from our mother of Jeff's kindness to her. As she was unable to get up and down the stairs, Jeff would pick her up and carry her up to bed and then down in the morning so she could spend the day downstairs. Later that year, after my grandmother passed away, he was off to Muhlenberg, where his role as a captain and a keeper on the soccer team set the pace for his career. Muhlenberg, as Mr. Barnes just said, was named a soccer field this past weekend in a very joyous event recognizing Jeff's service to school and to soccer. Small assignments later on as assistant coach locally at the high schools and at the college level led Jeff to the idea that a regular program of leagues and soccer instruction was needed in Northwest Philly. As many of you know, the soccer academies that Jeff, Adam, Roper, and other colleagues built now serve 10,000 or more young soccer players, many of whom have gone on to play college soccer, as Jeff and others talked about, and beyond. Most important, all have treasured memories of both the skills and the teamwork lessons and how to walk backwards placing cones that Jeff offered one of his great joys. But his most great joy today is when he runs into a former soccer player who not only recalls some of the soccer that he learned in the past, but tells them about their family life and how they, as moms or dads today, are teaching soccer to their own children. Now, nearly 15 years ago, the richest portion of Jeff's life began when he met Heidi Meritz, here in the front row for those who haven't seen her yet today, and her 3 young daughters, Isabel, Sophie, and Julie. Heidi and the girls became Jeff's family as they shared the joys and challenges of the 3 young girls maturing into the successful young women they are today. Whenever one catches up with Jeff, you first hear how the girls are doing in school, in sports, in life, or in their careers, as he is so proud of them. Each graduation, goal scored, or job offer is a thrill for him to share with his precious girls. Two years ago, before a late November vacation, Jeff felt the first symptoms of the insidious disease that would come to shape his health, but not his outlook. 6 months later, when the diagnosis and the need for difficult treatment became clear, Jeff faced it with courage and optimism. He continued to run his soccer and Valley Forge camps while undergoing harsh treatments. As he lost weight, which was obvious, and hair, which is harder to detect on a Morris male, he made jokes about his new physique and engaged in the next steps of his treatment. Sadly, 6 months after the surgery, the diagnostics indicated the disease persisted and was not considered to be curable unless new treatments became available, which we still seek. Jeff soldiered on as he endured new therapies with painful side effects, while still working, living his life, and planning for the inevitable with courage. Rays of hope appeared in the form of a clinical trial in Connecticut. Jeff drove himself back and forth to the treatments and maintained a wonderful sense of humor about his circumstances, even asking me for advice on how to invest the $72 per treatment they're now required to pay each patient. What did you do with that money, Jeff? Maybe you bought one of those red blazers he was talking about earlier. It was great to be with Jeff because we got to spend more time than we spent together in many years. We got to talk about our boyhood life, about our parents, funds with our family, and just general life matters from the Red Sox to the Sixers, etc. I could not have been prouder seeing how bravely he faced the hardest situation in life. Jeff has occasionally expressed frustration to me. The next expected 15 years of his life are in a sense wasted, as they could have been golden years traveling and enjoying the fruits of his labor. Instead, this large crowd is testimony not to a wasting, but to Jeff's life being well spent in building friendships, giving lessons, and love among family and friends. What a great legacy. Our parents would be very proud to hear all this today. I love you, Jeff.
I know we're past time. I just want to say one thing. Sitting here, Mrs. Barnes, Buff, James, these 2 people have been in my life since 1989. And these two people made all this possible. I've been sitting in his backyard for the last 2 years talking about all this. And one day I said, man, I was at my mom's funeral. She would have loved it. You know, and then we talked about Peter Sampson's funeral. He would have loved it. And she and I got talking, and once she and I had an idea, they just give it to him. And none of this happens without them, and my life would not be, as Adam spoke about me, I expand that exponentially for what these two people have done for me for 40 years. Hey, I love you guys.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you all for all the things that have been shared here today and for the amazing love that is filling this space. I'm going to read for us now a closing blessing. May perpetual light shine upon Jeff. May the life he has lived unfold further in body and in spirit. May his past travails find ease in the light of God. May the rains from heaven fall gently upon him. May the wildflowers and grasses whisper their wishes into light. May we reverence this village of presence, loving and honoring Jeff tonight. So now I invite you all to stand as we sing together. It's hymn 649. It's a typo in the bulletin. So 649, Amazing Grace, and we'll sing verses 1, 4, and 5.
And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted upon you and give you peace now and forever. Go in peace.